We're live. Welcome to Count Me In, a 2020 Census special show produced by the media teams in the Springdale Public Schools. My name is Van Stuman, and I teach media and drama at Lakeside Junior High. We are live today in Pam Locke's art class at J.O. Kelly Middle School. Art students all around our school district have been working on art pieces that express the importance of the 2020 census and the phrase, Count Me In. We'll be taking a look at some of these art pieces throughout the show. But first, our top story. The 2020 census officially launches tomorrow. So let's check in with Sydney Osoris and Hannah Garian from Don Tyson Phoenix TV to tell us how the city of Springdale is preparing our community to be ready for the 2020 census.
Hello, thank you so much, Mr. Stuman, and to those of you tuning in. Welcome to a special edition of Count Me In. Hannah, it's time for the 2020 census and you get to participate.
But how is our community preparing for the census?
It's funny that you asked that because it's exactly what our Phoenix News team has been working on for the last couple of weeks.
Let's take a look at what they found out about how Springdale is getting prepared for this 2020 census.
There are always challenges to the census, but I think we're setting in a better position this year. We stood up months ago, our Complete Count Committee, a large committee this time, 35 members approximately, people from all walks of life, from all demographics, from all backgrounds, to help ensure that Springdale gets a complete count.
Our main purpose is to make sure that we get the word out about the census through social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They can come to the library. So we have a lot of information here that will be set up next to the kiosks as well. So we have our brochures available that explain what the census is, why it's important. They can also call the number that we have on here as well to talk to somebody from the census if they need to know more information. The library is going to have 2 kiosks set up, which are just 2 computers. We can also help them if they need it in a specific language, since the census has 13 different languages that you can choose from. Once they've completed the census, they can leave or they can ask for assistance to make sure that they have confirmation.
It's very important that people understand and realize that the census, that information is safe, that it is important, and that we really count on that to help return services to our residents.
We will be communicating to our business leaders, the many employers in town. Also, we're very involved with the Marshallese community. The Marshallese is a very undercounted population in Springdale. They have an event in May around Memorial Day every year, and the Chamber is working together with our Marshallese leaders in Springdale to help them make that event as big and as well attended as possible, so that we can, at that time, collect any census forms that maybe have not been completed by that time.
I think there are between 10,000 and 20,000 Marshallese in Springdale. I would tell the Marshallese community not to be afraid, that to be involved in the census is like getting involved with the community here to help support the government. Being involved in the census will bring resources to the city of Springdale, to help with the schools. For 10,000, if we say 10,000 Marshallese are counted, that's a lot of money that we are missing.
For more information about the 2020 census, please visit 2020census.gov.
So let's head back to J.O. Kelly and Mr. Stuman to see what's next on this special edition of Count Me In.
Thank you, Phoenix TV. Now, let me introduce you to Dakota and Michael, who are students here in Pam Locke's art class at J.O. Kelly. We've got them right in the middle of some art projects they're working on that have to do with Count Me In. Michael, tell us a little bit about your project.
Sure thing. These are 3 people from Miss Locke's art class, and this says Yo Cuentos, which means I count in Spanish.
Very good, Michael. Thank you. Dakota, tell us about your project.
This is also another 3 people in the art class. This says Quan Buena, which means count me in Marshallese.
Very good. Well, thank you, guys. The census has been around since 1790, and it really started to make an effort to count every household in 1850. Our team from Springdale High School, Bulldog TV, went out into our community to get a historical perspective about what the census is and how it impacts the community of Springdale.
Thank you, Mr. Stuman.
The census has been around since 1790.
That's right, Stacy. Do you know at the time it only had 7 questions?
That's all. The census is a great tool to help us understand how our population changes and other things.
Check out this story by Bulldog TV producers Alondra and Ivan on census history in our town, as well as changes that have been made to it.
What once was a strong agricultural town, Springdale has moved into more of an industrial and business direction. The census is a great aid to help us understand the changes that have happened over the past years.
Over time in the censuses, we can see that the population changes, especially when the railroad comes in 1881. You also have a shift to businesses, not just farm and agricultural. So you'll have businesses downtown. Some of those are still related to the farm industry, so you have produce and wholesale grocers. And then over time, you start to see a shift in that. Up to now, you see more into the service industry and industrial activities.
Another historical difference has been the growth and demographics of Springdale.
Due to this enormous and tremendous growth in the population, it is very important that we all count, that we all participate, as we should be able to have the resources that we all need in this community. And so participation in the Hispanic community is even more important now than ever, since it is only done every 10 years and the population has grown so much. It is time to get a really accurate count on it so that we all are able to get the resources and distribution that we need.
Being counted in the census does have a direct impact, especially when it comes to public education. Dr. Jim Rollins, Superintendent of Springdale Public Schools, explains the significant effect it can have on funding.
Well, we have 23,000 students in the Springdale School District. Wonderful young people, but they have enormous needs. And the federal government helps us with funds really touching everything from health care to insurance opportunities through our Kids First programs of the state to aftercare program, foods and nutrition, etc. It has an enormous impact on our schools and again provides federal dollars to help us better serve our children.
Filling out the census will significantly help our small but growing city. Every person counts.
In this community, we are all one, and we all need to come together to be able to make a bigger difference. So we all need to participate, we all need to become involved and well informed on the impact of the census, and it is very important now than ever to become involved and be able to be counted.
That all of us understand that this is really a way to help ourselves. If we just make sure that everyone's counted, then funds can flow to our city, to our schools, to really help improve the quality of life for everyone.
For Bulldog TV, I'm Alondra Elizalde.
Thank you, Alondra and Ivan.
Back to you, Mr. Stuman.
As we now know, every 10 years, the U.S. Census Bureau undertakes a mammoth task, tallying up all the people living in the United States and recording basic information such as age, gender, and race. The Founding Fathers thought this data, called the census, was so important they mandated it as part of the Constitution. The census determines the number of seats each state has in the U.S. House of Representatives and is also used to distribute billions in federal funds to local communities. We check in now with Nick Luttrell and Jules Villequette to break down how the money from the census will impact us here in Springdale.
Thanks, Van, and welcome to the Harbor Wildcat Newsroom. I'm Nick Luttrell.
And I'm Jules Villequette.
Today we'll be discussing the 2020 census, but more importantly, how it directly correlates to the funding right here in Springdale.
The census is extremely valuable to the federal government, which relies on this data to guide the distribution of federal funding to states, localities, and households across the nation.
In fiscal year 2016, Arkansas received $9,867,323,057. Now that may sound like a lot, but that funding is directed into domestic financial assistance programs, procurement programs, and something that all residents are probably interested in, especially right now, tax credit programs. Did you find yourself owing money back to the state of Arkansas when filing your 2019 taxes? Well, this program is directly involved with that.
Simply put, counting the residents of Springdale will provide more money for our community. The city of Springdale will receive $3,300 per person for 10 years for various programs across the community. If you think of it in a larger perspective, if 20,000 residents go uncounted, that costs Springdale $6.6 million in lost funds each year.
Your participation in the 2020 census will generate government funding for some major programs across the state, some not only pivotal in the development of our own community, but the development of children and adults alike.
Our team took the opportunity to speak with some of the leaders across our community to find out just how these funds will be allocated in the upcoming years. Here's the story. 2.91 million people was the population in Arkansas back when the last census was conducted in 2010. Compare that to the now 3 million people. That money adds up quickly. An estimated $330 million to be exact. That's why this 2020 census is so important, not only for the state, but for local communities, like right here in Springdale, Arkansas.
The 2020 census is important because it's an opportunity for Springdale to get its fair share of federal dollars. We have to live with the count for 10 years, so we want to make sure that Springdale gets an accurate count so that we can receive proper federal dollars for roads, schools, hospitals, and clinics.
The data collected will be able to identify needs based on ethnicity, a vital tool especially for Springdale, Arkansas, which has the largest Marshallese population in the world.
If we don't get an accurate count, then we can't create programs and projects in order to intervene with those health outcomes. For example, funding federally qualified health centers, which here in Springdale we have community clinic. They're also in the Springdale School District.
The fire department is 100% funded by city budget. The government, state and federal governments allocate a certain amount of money in grants, and then as far as the taxes are concerned, Washington County taxes are collected, and then they divvy them out to each area of the county based on population.
EOA has 8 Head Start centers in Washington County, and Head Start is one of the programs that could benefit from having an accurate count in the 2020 census.
Each resident matters, and this year a volunteer staff consisting of various native language speakers and even public libraries have made the opportunity more readily available.
We need for everyone to be counted because we live with these numbers for the next 10 years and it benefits all of our families.
April 1st is your opportunity to create an accurate count for the state and the community, as all funds will be given out based on the data collected. All information is confidential, and this snapshot is vital as it only occurs once every decade. So be sure to phone in, mail, or go online April 1st, because your voice matters. Signing off for Harbor Wildcat News, I'm Jules Valiquette. In 2010, it is estimated that up to 20,000 Springdale residents were not counted in the census. If this same number of people are uncounted in the 2020 census, the city of Springdale could lose up to $3,300 per person per year, which adds up to $660 million over 10 years total.
The state funding will be divided among 55 different programs. Some of those major programs that funds will be allocated towards include, but are not limited to,
medical assistance programs, highway planning and construction, law enforcement, fire departments, public schools, and something that Nick and I are both passionate about, career and technical education, which includes this very television program as well as other television programs across the state.
So be sure to respond online, phone in, or fill out the form sent to you in the mail. Answering just 5 simple questions could not only shape our community, but lives across this state. Back to you, Van.
Thank you, Nick and Jules. Now that we know why the census is important and how it will impact our community, we need to know how to take it. So we put together this brief video to show you where and how to take the census. Check this out.
The 2020 census is coming, and here's everything you need to know to complete your requirements. From March 12th to March 20th, you will receive a letter in the mail from the U.S. Census Bureau. This letter is extremely important because it contains your census ID, which will be needed to complete the form. Make sure you check the mail for this very important letter. After you have your census ID, you may respond by mail, online, or by phone. The simplest option will be to fill it out online. If you do not have access to a computer, there are free computer stations available at the public library and the Bread of Life on Emma. For parents of Springdale students, you may bring your census ID to conferences to access free computer stations open March 16th through March 19th. Census Day is April 1st. By this time, every home will have received an invitation to participate. April 4th is the Census Rally, where you'll also have another opportunity to count if you haven't responded yet. Self-reporting ends on July 31st. Every household is required to respond, and households that do not respond on their own will be visited by an enumerator from the Census Bureau to collect your information. Households that have still not responded will receive additional visits. So keep track of your letter from the census and fill out your information at your earliest convenience. The census is how we shape our future, and accurate numbers give Springdale residents more resources for our community.
Take a look here at what I'm holding in my hand. This is the letter you will receive in the mail from the U.S. Census Bureau. This letter is important because it provides your census ID. Everyone, please make sure you're checking your mail every day and that you secure your letter. And once you receive your letter, you can bring it to our talent show. Mark your calendars to come to Springdale's Got Talent Showcase on April 4th. We're hosting a huge showcase of talent and encouraging residents of Springdale to attend and take the census while enjoying a beautiful day at the Jones Center. Take a look at this commercial to learn more.
The 2020 census is here. All members of the community are invited to Springdale's Got Talent, a 2020 census rally on April 4th at the Jones Center, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Hosted by Springdale Schools East and the City of Springdale. Witness performances from the Springdale Schools students and faculty, Springdale community talent, and much more. Learn about the importance of the 2020 census from community leaders, dine at local food trucks, and take part in the 2020 census. Translators and volunteers will be available to assist anyone. Celebrate with our community and spread the word to Count Me In.
We're nearing the end of our show. We hope by watching this show you'll know why it is important to participate in the census and how each and every person in our city needs to be counted. We're excited to play this next video for you. We reached out to the community of Springdale and asked them to submit clips of themselves explaining why each of us should say, "Count me in." Take a look.
The census funds public safety.
The census allocates appropriate funding for projects and programs that help children and families.
Census data ensures that the programs and services we're providing meets the local need.
We take the census every 10 years, and it's important to know how our community is evolving over that time period.
El censo es importante porque proporciona fondos para mantener las escuelas y comunidad seguras.
It's easy, it's safe, it's secure, and it's important to all of us.
Strike the Sasquatch and the Northwest Arkansas Naturals front office wants to encourage everyone to take the 2020 census.
We all matter. It doesn't matter about your age, race, living situation. Your count helps.
The census will impact the schools your kids go to, the roads you drive on, the services your family could receive, and who you get to vote for. It's so important to be counted.
It matters for our resources, for our schools, our hospitals, our neighborhoods, for all of us. And we need the voice in our local government, our state government, and the U.S. government.
Durante la próxima década, los legisladores, dueños de negocios y muchos otros utilizarán los datos del Census 2020 para tomar decisiones críticas.
We want to make sure that Springdale gets its fair share of federal dollars, and the way we can do that is by getting an accurate count for the U.S. Census.
Getting an accurate count for Census 2020 is important for our Marshallese community. Being counted ensures you and the community to be recognized by our leaders.
The results influence the number of dollars that the clinic may receive from federal funders to help provide the excellent care to over 39,000 patients that we serve every year.
I really hope that this year so many people from Springdale will respond to the census that finally will be bigger than Fayetteville. So come on, get your family to participate in the census.
We use the census data to make sure that we're not leaving anybody out. We want the right number of personnel, tools, and equipment like what you see right here behind me to make sure that everybody has appropriate coverage when it comes to emergency.
The information you provide will help your community. Plus, I'd like to know how many more people live in Springdale than when I graduated from Springdale High School in 1968.
Count me in.
Count me in.
Count me in.
Cuentas conmigo.
Count me in.
Count me in.
Count us in.
Count me in.
Count us in.
Cuenta conmigo.
Count me in.
Count me in.
Count me in.
Count me in, Springdale.
You can count me in.
Count me in.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for Count Me In Live, a 2020 census show. Thank you to Don Tyson Phoenix TV, Springdale High Bulldog TV, and Harbor High School Wildcat TV for producing great stories. We look forward to seeing everyone at Springdale's Got Talent Rally on April 4th, and also visit our homepage for any information you may need, go.sdale.org/census. And thank you to Pam Locke and J.O. Kelly Middle School for hosting us today. And most importantly, thank you for watching. I'm Van Stuman, and for Pam Locke's 6th grade art class, we'd just like to say, count me in!